I've been a maternity and newborn photographer for 12 years and I've been using the wrong lights this entire time. Here's why. So 12 years ago, I started my own photography company. I was a bit of an everything photographer. I didn't really have a niche, so I needed something versatile when I was opening my first studio that I could photograph most things with. At the time, Bowens was the big named brand. It was the reputable brand that everyone was going for, and they were at a really good price point. So I went for 3 Bowens Gemini 500Rs. Now, these days, they just don't exist. Bowens went out of business a long time ago, and you just can't get those lights anymore. They've done me really well. They've lasted 12 years and they've been workhorses. We have used them day in, day out in the studio. We've taken them on location. They've done really well, but they finally failed a few weeks ago and I was stuck. So it was time to buy new lights. Bowens had gone, so I had no kind of basis of what I was looking for. So I started looking at all the flash available, and then I had a thought. Do I even need flash? Can I not use continuous light? So back 12 years ago when I first started, continuous light wasn't, you couldn't use that for photography. It was too heavy, you couldn't move it around, it was so hot and so expensive. So I'd never used continuous light before. It wasn't something that I was accustomed to. But now we're 12 years ahead, and if I can use continuous, it is potentially going to have a whole host of benefits, which I will go on to in a little bit. So we asked our videographer Palmer for some advice. He's a massive Godox fan, so that's where we started looking. So what were the 3 main areas we were looking at? We needed something that was going to match the power of my flash system. I needed something that was going to be good quality, but also a good price point. The last lot of lights lasted me 12 years. I wanted something that was going to kind of do the same thing. Thirdly, I wanted something that had good UK support. If anything goes wrong, I want to know that I'm going to have the support system there. So after looking for quite a long time at model numbers and serial numbers and whatever else, and just at all the models, I compared them all for way too long. We ended up with the SL303. So my old Bowens lights, we weren't using on very high power at all. They were down on the lower settings. So after trialing it out with Palmer's lights, we realised we needed around 100 to 150 watts. This one is 300. The reason we went for a higher wattage was we didn't want to get a couple of months down the line and realise, oh, we need a little bit more and have to buy more again. So we went for 300 just to have more than enough, because we can always dial it back. So the second point was build quality. I'll go more in depth on that when I do a full review of the light, but just for now, it's quite robust. And the main selling point was this yoke. I wanted it to be able to hang from our ceiling rig and not have all the dials upside down. Not that it would have made a massive amount of difference, but it would have wound me up on a daily basis. So that was a main selling point for me. So why have I changed my mind, and why am I using continuous light now for maternity and newborn photography? So during a newborn session, we like to keep things in the studio as calm as possible. Our studio was created around maternity and newborn photography. It is a calm environment, but those lights just didn't fit. They were too loud, the beeping noise was horrendous and they just wouldn't turn off. They were too hot, and our temperature control unit found it difficult to keep the temperature at the right temperature because those bulbs were so hot all the time. And it's just a much nicer environment to not have a flash going off in a baby's face. It's so much calmer with not having that flash going off all the time. So the session you was watching throughout this video was our first ever session with this light. As you can see, it's a much more controlled environment. I felt so much more control over the entire subject at all times because I could see exactly where my lighting was and what it was going to look like in camera. There was no fussing about doing test shots or anything like that. I moved my light to where I wanted it. Was it quite right? No, let's move it a little bit more. There we go, perfect. And you can see it in real life. You don't have to worry about the back of your camera or anything like that. It was just beautiful lighting straight away. It also meant that our videographer could film at the same time. Our videographer wasn't just doing behind the scenes shots with flashes going off. He was doing cinematic video for the clients that you were able to upsell. It's a massive selling point and a game changer when it comes to newborn photography. How amazing will it be for the customer to be able to see their photos and then go, oh, and also here's your video. It's a game changer. The only small drawback that I could really say is the price per power. Like for this amount of power in a flash, you're probably looking a lot cheaper, but it's not continuous. You have got all those drawbacks of having flash. But there'll be more on that in my full review, so don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when it comes out. So what do you think? Have I made the right choice, or am I going to regret this in a few weeks' time? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you soon.